It's been described as a cyber Pearl Harbor, state-sponsored online attacks that could paralyse or destroy a nation's military and civilian infrastructure, even kill its citizens. Nothing quite so threatening has ever been realised, but governments and businesses around the world are increasingly worried. That's why lawyers and cyber warfare experts have been considering possible scenarios. For example, the controls of a nuclear power plant are hacked from abroad, causing it to melt down. The lawyers say this kind of attack is so damaging it could be considered an armed attack, one that could justify a military response. Another example seen in South Korea just last week, a cyber attack shut down thousands of computers. This would be considered an act of force, but not necessarily a full armed attack. This makes military response illegal. The report also concludes that during a conflict, any hacker who helps commit computer sabotage could be legally targeted with deadly force.
Of course, everybody who is directly participating in hostilities would become a lawful target, irrespective of whether he or she is part of the organized armed group or not. That's the only thing the manual says, and this is well shared everywhere in the world. So it doesn't mean every hacker who is somehow engaged in a malicious cyber operation would become targetable or liable to be killed. That is only in the context of an armed conflict.
In 2009, the US and Israel were blamed for the so-called Stuxnet virus attack on Iran's nuclear program. It destroyed centrifuges being used to enrich uranium. The report's authors are divided on whether the attack was severe enough to legally allow Iran to retaliate using force.
States do engage in offensive activity online, through code, through hacking. The majority of those attacks that states actually do are espionage attacks. Now, espionage is not covered by this manual. Espionage is not an act of force, and it's certainly not an act of war.
The report's authors say it's just a first step. More work is needed to consider how the law relates to government interference online, cybercrime, and the role internet providers should play. Tarek Bazley, Al Jazeera.